Bob, you had told everybody that Indiana State was a pretty good football team despite their record, and they came out and they moved the ball against you on 2 drives and got 2 field goals against you right away.
Yeah, they had a good plan. Did some things that were a little bit different than what they'd done the previous couple of weeks, and as a result, moved the ball. And our defense kept them out of the end zone, which I thought was big there on those first couple of drives, and obviously we were able to respond offensively.
Yeah, those 2 field goals obviously could have been worse if they'd put the ball in the end zone, and then you come back with 5 touchdowns on your first 6 possessions, and really those first 3 drives were all set up by the deep ball.
We were able to take advantage of some matchups, through the passing game, and Chris threw the ball really well, put the ball in good spots where our guys could make plays on it, and kind of set us up for the ability to run the ball later in the game because it forced them to play more coverage.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. When you hit 3 deep balls against them, all of a sudden they got to respect the deep ball, and then that allows Chris to go on the run that he did and run off that 46-yard touchdown right before halftime.
Yeah, it was a design quarterback draw. We had him playing coverage at the time, and it opened up a seam, and Chris showed his speed on that play. He's a guy that's capable of taking the ball the distance as he's shown over the years, and it was a big play to score right before half.
And then I think a real statement drive coming out of the half because no sign of let-up in your team. In fact, you go on an 11-play drive, and you mix it around. You hit 5 different receivers, and the next thing you know, you're back in the end zone. And I think that was an important thing to let people know that you're not going to take your foot off the gas.
Yeah, I was really pleased with the way we responded in the second half. Our guys were very businesslike at halftime and came out and without question put the game away.
Obviously, the 700 yards in total offense is getting a lot of publicity, but the 7 of 11 on third down, I mean, that's got to be a number you're extremely pleased with.
Well, that's the way to keep drives alive. You execute on third down, and we had some were third and short. We had some that were third and long, and made the plays at critical times, and you roll up those kinds of yards because you're able to possess the football, and third down conversion is a big part of that.
Defensively, 3 guys especially had a really nice game for you. Jim LaTrenta had a really nice game. Darren Greenfield, Nathan Schultz. Those guys spent a lot of time in the Indiana State backfield.
Well, we're getting better play out of our front. We're pretty young there, but guys are now 6 weeks into the season, have become more seasoned, and I still think that's a group that can get better as the year goes on.
Bobby mentioned a business-like approach, and that's especially evident in a game like this, a team that you're heavily favored against, a team you're supposed to beat, a team you've got at home, and to go out and execute the way you did talks about a lot about how your guys are approaching these types of games.
Guys understand that it doesn't make any difference what record a team in the Valley has. A team in the Valley is capable of playing well, and I think the scores last weekend in the league had demonstrated that. And so what you've got to do is you've got to play your best football every week. And we played good football Saturday. We're going to need to play great football this week. At
Illinois State on Saturday, this is a team that started 4-0. They've dropped their last 2, and kind of a different look for this club, Coach, because we used to see the Redbirds with a high-powered offense, but really it's the defense that's carried this team so far this year.
Yeah, a really good defensive football team, very experienced, the kind of defense that you expect from Illinois State, for really physical. There'll be a challenge, definitely for us from an offensive standpoint, and a little bit different offensive football team. They've relied a little bit more on throwing the football than in the past, and at the same time, they still got very talented core running backs that will make them a difficult preparation.
Let's talk about the defense a little bit more in depth. The linebacking core is really good with Horton and Holm, and then on the line you got Connolly and Graham, who have combined for 7 sacks, and so they're tough in the front 7.
Yeah, really experienced. Most of those front 7 guys not only started last year, but have started for a couple of years, and there'll be a formidable task. We're going to have to do a great job up front with our guys and to protect the quarterback as well as find some way to run the football.
Offensively, you mentioned they're trying to throw the ball more, and that's been kind of a mixed bag for them with 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. What do you see out of Jake Colby in terms of his inability to be effective? Is it decision making? Is the defenses he's gone against? Or what's been the problem?
Well, he's got a really strong arm. He's got very talented receiving core. He's had some big days throwing the football, and I think what we have to do is we've got to mix the coverages enough to keep him out of rhythm, and also, one of the big things to play good pass defense is to get pressure on the quarterback.
And obviously special teams so important in Valley games, and they've got a couple of really good special teams players in Artis Henderson, their freshman kickoff return threat, and they've got one of the top field goal kickers in the conference as well in Slattery.
Yeah, kicking game, be critical in games like this, and trying to generate field position, generate big plays. We've been sound there. Feel like we've been okay there in that area, but also feel that we're capable of making some big plays, and that will be an important component for Saturday.
I want to talk about Chris Streveler a little bit. I mean, he's the National Offensive Player of the Week. He's just put up phenomenal numbers. And is it just a case of, we've talked about this already this season, just another year in the system, being more comfortable with it, having a full off season to prepare? I mean, are all those things coming together now is why we're seeing what we're seeing?
Yeah, he's playing really fast, and I think that's because he has really good understanding of the offensive system. He feels exceptionally comfortable doing the things that we ask him to do, and it's allowed him to use his athleticism exceptionally well.
And then the increased options that he has with guys coming back from injury, especially at the receiving core. I mean, he's got any number of options, and then plus you've got some extra options in the running game as well this year. It just seems like that everywhere he looks on the field, he's got a positive option for him.
Yeah, depth there has been beneficial. Being able to run new receivers and fresh receivers in and running backs, I think, has been a big part of our second half success offensively.
Do you sense that your team is comfortable now being a favorite, being a team that other teams are looking out for rather than maybe possibly overlooking?
I don't think you really ever play as a favorite. You just try to play your best every week, and that's what we do. Right now we've got some areas that we got to continue to get better, and that'll be the focus this week.